Now we'll talk about the Guthrie rates for garbage service and compared to what we pay to Waste Connection. I'd point out that this is oversimplified. It's a little more complex than this, but I think this gives us a general picture. Would point out the last time we raised our sanitation rates was in 2006. And at that time, it was a 12% increase. So it's been over 15 years since we did a rate increase on our Waste Connection fees or garbage fees. Our revenue, if you look at 2011, $1 million, almost 1.2. Our fees to Waste Connection, 734,000. So our net revenue was 424, or 37% was the margin when you divide that by the gross revenue. Over time, with us leaving our rates the same, $13.24 a month, as the expense that we pay Waste Connection goes up, our margin goes down. So if you just, for discussion purposes, if you had revenue at a steady 37% margin and we'd increased our rate at the same percentage that Waste Connection raised their charge to us, we would have made an additional $152,000 in FY20. And over that time, depending on the perspective and how you want to say it, our lost revenue opportunity was almost $1 million. And so if you look at our rates right now, they've been $13.24 since 2006, and West Connection rates have been going up, and that's the percentage. Some years ago, 0. Over the last 10 years, they went up 10.6%. If we did the same, then our rates would go up in 2020 to $14.65, or over that time, a 10.65% increase. If you compare that to other communities, this is our current rate, $13.24 for one time a week pickup. If you're inside the city limits, Crescent is at $13.98. If we did do the 10.6% increase, we would be at $14.65. And if you look at these communities, we would still be on the low side of what we charge for garbage collection inside the city of Guthrie. You can see even Stillwater's $20 for a weekly pickup. So even with an increase, we're still going to be very competitive. Options for further study and recommendations. City Council has a standing finance committee. There's 3 council members on that. They're appointed through May of 2023. Councilman Long, Bothroyd, and Williams. The other option would be to send this to the Citizen Rate and Fee Advisory Committee. That committee was created by resolution back in 2010, and its purpose is to meet as needed to discuss rate, fee, and tax adjustments. So this question could be presented to either our Finance Committee or the Citizen Rate and Fee Advisory Committee. It's been a couple years at least since that committee's appointments have been updated. So if we're going to present it to them, we'll need to go through each council member, proposes somebody to serve on the rate committee, and then they have to be approved by a majority of city council. We would need to update those appointments if we were going to refer this to them. Talk about one more thing and then I'll stop for discussion. At our convenience center, which I call transfer station, we have not increased our rate since 2005. So again, 16 years. It's $10 a cubic yard. Inside, if you have a city water bill, and then it was added $15 for roofing materials back in 2011. Again, this is the revenue stream. This is the expenditures. And I'd point out these expenditures are what we pay Waste Connections. It doesn't include our manpower and our equipment costs. So if you look at 2020, our gross revenue was 110. Our what we paid Waste Connections is 93,000. So we generated $17,000 to pay for the manpower that we have out there and the equipment at the service center.
And that budget, just that budget alone is $164,000, the convenience center.
Okay. Trying to look at comparing it to other cities, and that got complicated. We'll have to spend some more time with that because there were some cities that did not charge anything to take your solid waste out to the convenience center. But then there's others that said, well, no charge for these items, and then for these items you got to pay. And so trying to put that chart together to show you become quite complicated. So we're going to have to do some more study to lay it out in a way that makes sense to compare what other communities charge at their service center. But clearly, if you look at what we charge versus what we pay Waste Connections, and then you also have to pay for equipment and labor, that facility's not paying its own way. With that, I thought I would stop for discussion.
So we've enacted the rate and fee committee, which would just be reappointing, right?
Correct.
Because they haven't met in, I don't know how many years.
It's been a while. They've not met since I've been here.
Yeah. They could take on both those issues, really.
Correct. And it would be a council decision to which committee they sent that to study and come back with a recommendation. Any other questions or comments?
Well, on the convenience center, so if we're adding 164,000 in as an expenditure in here, then obviously we are significantly underfunding that.
We're subsidizing that operation.
Yeah.
Correct.
So
And
gross
typically, utilities, you try to operate very similar to a business enterprise. That's why they're enterprise funds, and they should pay their own way. You shouldn't have to subsidize them from other funding sources. They should pay their own way.
So the current gross revenue for the convenience center is just what people are charged out there. That's not.
Correct.
Communities like Stillwater that was significantly higher, are they one that don't charge or that does not charge for their convenience center?
We will have to do some more study on that. To be honest with you, when I try to look at what other communities did on the service center, it confused me, and I thought if I tried to put a chart together for tonight without doing more study, it would just lead to more confusing. So on that one, we'll try to give you a better chart, but we just need to do some more research on it.
So the expenditure is 164,000.
In addition to what we pay,
How?
That's
In addition to the 93.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's not in there.
So it's 200. It's $250,000 or more.
correct,
How is that? I guess we'll get into that.
correct.
Because salaries can't be that high.
No, it would include fuel, salaries, equipment, those kind of things. And without actually looking at the budget, I don't have it memorized. But the main point is that doesn't include all the costs. You do have at least salaries, fuel, equipment, maintenance, those kind of things in there. And on a given year, that might be more than others. If you bought a
This
piece
year
of
might be more
equipment-
because of the storm
Yeah,
damage.
yeah, or if you built, or if you bought a piece of equipment that year.
Right.
So we'd have to dig into that a little deeper, but clearly the cost is more than just what we pay.
Yeah.
Waste Connections.